Okay, hopefully chats come in. I have my... Okay, streaming now. Perfect. Sometimes that's a problem with my app that I can't see the chats. Konnichiwa. Yeah, probably it doesn't come up here for some reason. But, there you go. There's a lag. Hi everybody. Just in case I have my tablet open so I can follow both. I can't really see how Twitch is going. Okay, here we go. Perfect. So I should be able to pause this and still I get the comments. Perfect. Alright, so good morning everyone. I'm trying to box off at least 2-3 hours of study this morning. I don't know if that would be the case. We'll see. Good morning. So I'm trying to figure out like my schedule pattern, like routine, like what I do. Like I know that I pretty much work from Monday to Friday, and my weekend is Saturday and Sunday, like normal, very regular work schedule, I think. But I'm trying to figure like how am I gonna use my weekend, and then how I'm gonna, cause like I'm trying out Twitch as well, and so I'm trying to see like how much I can stick with the regular streaming, so that like I don't have to think of, oh, like what should I do next, like when should I stream next, but I was like, oh, Saturday morning I can stream, something like that. So okay, so again, I am studying a bookkeeping, accounting, somewhere around there for my business, and I just wanted to stick with the routine of, I'm trying to like, it's hard to keep yourself informed. It's hard to keep studying once you become an adult, and then like studying is not necessary, and then you have other responsibility and as an adult, and you suddenly like you don't, like I don't have time for study, right? That's because that becomes your excuse. But it's better to like not like study but like for the exam or anything, but it's good to keep yourself informed. So anyway, so let's get to it. So yeah, go ahead and like grab yourself like something to study as well, something to read if you don't have any study material. You can work, and then we might take a break here and there and then talk. So feel free. I concentrate on studying or reading or something, and then like the world around me pretty much disappear kind of person. So I set my tablet so that I can follow the chat. So if you have any question, comments, whatever, feel free. It's okay. That would be a good splash water on my textbook. It'll be I try to study the financial statesman or more book. I'm just doing everything that I can. I was like flip pages and like, oh, okay, so that's how, you know, categorize stuff, or that's how you calculate, and so it's a general study. Anyway, so if you have any questions, feel free. I should be able to kind of like see this, see the screen, see the chats, even though I'm not looking at here. And then I might pause sometimes, and then I will answer questions. this is going to. Screen time, not screen time. Display brightness, auto lock. Here we go. Here we go. Hope you had a good breakfast to complement the study. I'm not the kind of person. Oh, Yuji, yay! Coming from Twitch, perfect. Yeah, I can't do study or work when I am full. I get sleepy, so I haven't had. I got a cup of coffee, but that's pretty much it. And then I would give myself a reward before lunch, not before, like maybe with the brunch or something, but not before study. Oh, Jake, that's what you do. Cool. If I can translate into English, that's the thing. I study or I read stuff that's kind of like English related. If I have to use those terms in English, and then I study in English or read in English. But I'm running a company in Japan, so if I study in English, then I wouldn't know the specific term. So even if in the future, even if I thought that like, oh, maybe that's something that I can like test on and get like a license or something, I wouldn't know what it says on the test because I didn't learn in English, right? And so I am learning everything in Japanese, so I don't know the like exact terminology in English. So I'll try to translate it. constant accounting that is suffering for me. I do this every day, so. This is as close to setting a win in a while. Are you looking forward to your success? Thank you. I'm just using online textbooks. I I don't really use online material. I'm not digital person. Handwriting ASMR. I've never thought of that. And maybe you can hear trains as well. It's not the AC is broken. The any ACs, they have a like motor sound, and you might not hear the motor sound with your own ears, but the microphone picks it up. So you can ask any YouTubers and say, hey, do you turn on the AC while you're filming? And then they will say no, because even if you can't hear it, it shows up in the video. So there's no fixing or anything. It just, AC is loud when you are filming. So this is gonna be it. I have to open the window. I can probably use the fan. I'm using the fan right now. Fan sound probably doesn't show up in the video as much, but that's the best I can do. So that's the reason why I'm doing my the live stream in the morning, so that I don't have to turn on the AC. You think it does bother you? It's like the whole time in the background, and it's louder than my voice, so no one can watch it. I'm not really bothered by any sound, because like I have super concentration. It's like, because like someone was saying earlier that you can't study with the train noises, right? And then there's a construction going on, but I'm fine with that. I'm that kind of person. And the one thing that I can study with is the music. I can't have music, because like I start singing and I was like and I'm not focusing, right? And sound effect, right? But these like AC noise, not a comparison. Breakfast? No, I can't study or work if I'm full. I get super sleepy, so no. When I'm focused on something, I don't eat. I had a cup of coffee though. Wayne. Pencil fun. Thank you. Catch you later, Katie. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. What kind of business do I run? I do multiple businesses. The main one, I have a school in my hometown. I'm from Shikoku Island. It consists of 4 prefectures: Ehime Prefecture, Kochi Prefecture, Tokushima Prefecture, and Kagawa Prefecture. So even if I say like, oh, Shikoku Island, well, it's just not Honshu Island, the mainland of Japan. And like when I say island, you just think that it's like a really small town, right? So it's not. It's a huge one. But I'm originally from there. And when I came back from the States, I wasn't sure what I was wanting to do, so I started running my own school. And because cram school is very popular in Japan, and so I started doing that. And then before I know it, I had too many students to handle on my own, so I rented out my office and I hired people. And now I have been wanting to come to Tokyo because I have more friends in Tokyo, and so I was prepping for that, but then the pandemic happened, so I had to preserve my business and especially school, so we couldn't like see in person, right? So I had to switch over to online and yada yada yada. So everything was new and it involved kids, so parents are extra cautious and whatnot. So I had to stay. And gradually, border lifted up, and I was able to invite foreign teachers and whatnot, and so business was secured finally. And so I decided to move to Tokyo, and I've been living here for about like 2 months now. So I just moved here. So this is not a necessary work because I do have a tax attorney. But I realized past, I don't know, like 5, well, I'm running the business for 10 years now, but in the beginning it was very simple, right? And then as I grew my business, I realized that tax attorney doesn't really give you any tips on how to run a business or how you should use your money, including like tax wise. They would just look at your balance sheet and they just tell you what's wrong and what's right, and just number wise. So they're very mechanical. They don't really like have a chat with you. And so I was like, oh, if I want to run a successful business, then I should have a knowledge around the same level as my tax attorney, so that when I have some questions, I can ask him. So if I ask a question to the tax attorney and he would answer, but he wouldn't answer in a way that the people who have no knowledge about accounting or bookkeeping would understand. So he would use like terminology, and yeah, he doesn't like, it's normal. The tax attorney don't really like explain themselves. So I have to keep myself up to date, and that's the reason why I'm trying to find a find an amount of time, at least like 1 day a week, to like keep myself informed. Oh, Mass VT, thank you so much to pay your accountant. Yeah, accountants can be very, very expensive. I run a corporation, so it's different from running your when you're self-employed. When you're self-employed, it's reasonable amount because it's less paperwork for them, right? But when you're running a corporation, it doesn't matter if it's big or small, when you have that name, and sometimes you need that name, and when that happens, they're like, oh, this is my money comes from, and they just like start charging a big amount. I mean, for me, it was a referral from my relative, one of my relatives, so it's not like ridiculous amount, but still every time the time comes, I'm like, ah. So thank you so much. Oh, I have to study Mandarin. I had a friend who is German and studying in the US, and she made a mistake of taking a Mandarin course in college. And for a Japanese person, it's not difficult. I mean, the pronunciation, I had a Chinese roommate, and so when I tried to learn how to speak, they have, even if you want to say ah, there are like 5, 6, 7, 8 ways to say the simple ah sound, right? And so I was like, the first couple of hours, and I was like, okay, I'm done, right? It's very hard to have so it's kind of same thing like when Korean people wants to learn Japanese, because Japanese have more sounds compared to Korean, and so for Japanese people, learning Korean and to pronounce it right is not too difficult because we just need to eliminate some sounds. But other way around can be very difficult. So it's the same thing. Japanese has limited amount of sounds, so when we try to learn Mandarin, it's very, very difficult because we can't even hear the difference. So it's similar when the Japanese people try to learn English and then trying to differentiate the sound of L and R, right? And but when it comes to writing, and most of the time college courses based the test on the reading and writing. So we use kanji, right? Of course, Chinese kanji and Japanese kanjis are slightly different, but we are used to the format, so it's not that big of a deal. And as long as we have like workbook and whatnot, like we can practice. And then like maybe for us, even if it's a new kanji, we practice like, 3-5 times, like, okay, I got this form, right? So we can write it. But a person who have never seen kanji before and learning English as a German person is easy because you guys use the same alphabet, right? So writing shouldn't be too difficult. And German and then English kind of have the similar format as well, like grammatical wise. And like if you learn that like I is ich, and so like I learned this like phrase for some reason that like English and the German is kind of similar in a way, is that like when I'm hungry, like instead of saying like I am hungry, like ich bin Hunger, you can say ich habe Hunger, right? So like I have hunger. And then like ich is I, and habe sounds like have, and hungry is Hunger, and Hunger like looks like hungry, and you can actually like look at it and read it, right? So, but learning Chinese as a European or American, and then she didn't have any Chinese friends, so she comes to me for the kanji study. I was like, am I writing this right? So yeah, Mandarin. I don't even want to try it. It's too difficult, especially to speak. So good luck. What is it? Instead of studying, you should do silent watch stream of Anime Expo Light happening right now. What is that? Yeah, streaming. I'm actually thinking of doing something like that if I can figure out that way how to do it. Because like I have seen like some TikToker or maybe even YouTuber that the one that I saw was that they play a video game, like simple ones, not like complicated one, but it's very like a kind of like a Tetris, kind of like very simple. And then she would just like lay on the bed and like playing the game, and then like she's not even looking at the camera, she was just like playing silently. So yeah, that might be something. Making adjustments for making Matsuyama to Tokyo, not easy actually, because I have like many friends in Tokyo. It wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. Yeah, I had problems with apartment, like problem after problem, but I guess like I'm a little bit used to not everything goes smoothly as you plan, because I have lived in the States. So when you want to do something, even within school or like governmental, like visa type of thing, like of course, right? But like I knew how to like negotiate or how to like communicate with those people with those problems, and like how you have to be somewhat polite but firm, so you cannot be a pushover, right? So if you need something, you have to tell them that you need this, and you don't take no for an answer. So how long did I live in the States? 3 years total. I was like going back and forth, but 3 years total. And so I'm sure that Norm helped tremendously. Yeah, I mean, like not with the problem I had like myself. I told about problems that I was having with him, but yeah, like the whole move and then setting things up, like finding an apartment. We actually did the whole apartment hunting, like scouting in Tokyo together, and we made the live stream of it. But like I had no idea, like when it comes to Tokyo, like I have visited Tokyo many times, so I kind of had an understanding of like where things are, and then like what kind of Nora made the very good video, and I actually like learn about Tokyo a lot from the video. I can't remember how to like the title of it, but he made a video where he goes to many different locations, and he talks about like this location is about this, like if you want this you should go this area. So he have a section of each area, and then he would explain what those area for. So I was like, oh okay, so if I want to do like this kind of shopping I should go there, or like this is a great place access wise, like I can go to outside of Tokyo easily, yada yada yada, right? So yeah, so I watched those videos and to inform myself, but still visiting Tokyo and living in Tokyo is completely different. So when it comes to living, I would tend to grab some apartments that are a little bit like one station outside of Yamanote-sen, the Yamanote line, JR line, and it goes in circle, okay? And so like Tokyo is actually really big, and then when we actually talk about Tokyo, it's like 23, so 23 words, like city. So like we have ku, word, and then we have city, like shi. And so when we say Tokyo, that's just usually implies the 23 word. And so within 23 words, we have a like inside Yamanote-sen line or the outside of Yamanote-sen line. And of course, inside the Yamanote-sen line is more expensive because it's convenient, right? And then like one station out, so like you think it's just like one station right towards Yamanote-sen. So that would probably, like when you look at like Google Maps or something, that you would see like 2-minute ride, right? I'm like, oh, that's not bad. And then the rent drops massively. So I was like picking those apartments, right? And like sending the link over to him and say like, hey, I found like this reasonable apartment. It's very new, and it's high up, because like you don't want to live in like first, second, third floor, right? And then he was like, nope. I was like, why? And I was like, you do not want to ride any morning trains that would come towards the Yamanote-sen, because it's packed. I don't know if you have seen it. I have seen it. I didn't think it was real until I heard from multiple people who live in outside of Yamanote-sen how horrible the morning trains are. When it comes to Yamanote-sen, it's not too bad. Like, yeah, it's a little, like, you will be a little squished, and so like your shoulder is basically touching other people's shoulders. Yeah, it's not comfortable, but still it's durable. But when you want to ride a train coming from outside of Tokyo or outside of Yamanote-sen line, which means like if you've seen the station masters, like the Ekin-san, they are pushing the passengers into the train, like 3 people would but just like push them in, and that's what happens every single morning. And then depending on the station, that you cannot go to the platform. And I never seen it in person because I don't really want to, but I heard from multiple people that like, yeah, like every morning I have to leave my house 40 minutes extra early, because even if I want to get on the train at a certain time, I won't reach to the platform for 30 minutes. I have to wait outside of the kaisatsu gate for 30 minutes. And then my turn comes, get on the train, and especially if you like small, tiny, I have a package. Bye. Hi. Hi. So yeah, the downside of like living in close to one of those like stations is that you hear train sound every now and then. Every now and then means every 2 minutes, and like every 30 seconds during rush hour. But hold on. I forgot that I ordered this. Hope there is a low rental price because of the train. No, no way. Because like if you hear a lot of trains, which means you're close to the station, so the price is very high. And also that usually you want to take a look at the place inside of the place, because pictures are taken a long time ago and they usually don't update it. And sometimes they just like pick one of the rooms in the entire apartment, and then they would like copy and paste for all the rooms. And so sometimes the layout is flipped, or when they say you have what would be different when you have like sink here in the advertisement, but like when you actually visit the place, then you wouldn't see the sink. And so they don't try to do anything. So I wish they would like fix it, but they don't. Anyway, so I ordered this long time ago, forgot about it, and then I got an email from Amazon a few days ago. I was like, yeah, your thing is coming. So this is I don't know if you can see the picture. Umbrella holder. So it's magnetic, so I shouldn't probably, and it's usually these are very strong. So shouldn't probably keep these things close to my phones. But you can just stick it to your front door. You have to make sure that your front door is made of like steel, metal, not like aluminum or something that doesn't stick to magnets. But it seems to fit 4 umbrellas, and then you would just like stick it like this in a distance, so that when it's when you have like a long umbrella, not the folded one, you can still like hold it. So that's what it is. But also this like bottom part is like long enough to support the short ones as well. So yeah, I thought that like I have like a little bar thing that I can hang my umbrella that has like this hook thing. But when it's raining outside, the umbrella is of course wet, right? So you don't want to put away a wet umbrella into a shoe closet. So anyway, here we go. Okay, so I was talking too much, so I'm gonna hydrate myself and then I will go back to my study. checking my answers. Oh, good question. Do schools have the same teachers as the high schools? Like, can you teach at both or just at any one place? So here's the thing. Regular school teachers, they are civil servants. And so they are not allowed to work outside of school. They can't even get a part-time job if they do something similar to consider as work. So how can I say it? Like, if let's say you have a hobby to draw some pictures, and first you started out as a hobby, and then you are a high school teacher, let's say, and you just use your weekend to draw some, pictures, paint it, right? And one day your friends say like, oh, you're such a good artist that I know a guy runs a cafe down the street, and he's always looking for a people who can like do some like a little art gallery, and you might be able to make some money off of it, right? And then the high school teacher was like, oh, that's amazing, right? So one day they decided to throw some like small art gallery thing, and he would ask some friends and family members to come out to maybe buy his painting, like for like maybe 500 yen, like 1,000 yen, very, very cheap, right? And that is against the law because the high school teacher is a civil servant and he made money out of his work. And so one time the firefighter, it's a similar situation, firefighter, semi-popular YouTuber, like gaming YouTube, and the firefighter got reported and I think he was suspended or something. He didn't know, so he wasn't, his license wasn't revoked or anything, I think, but still he was suspended without a pay or something, or reduced salary or something like that. Everyone thought that it was like too harsh, but he started a YouTube channel a while ago and he just enjoyed playing video games, so he would just start streaming. And one day he was eligible for a monetization, so he just turned it on like anyone would, and he was making like few bucks here and there. It wasn't a big money, and then somebody found out that the guy was actually this guy, and who is a firefighter, and he was reported. So Cram School is a private company. It's not an education institution, it's a company, money-making company. And so they are not allowed to work there. And my dad is a teacher, and so he pretty much retired. So he was rehired. So in Japan, normally you retire at the age of 60. And then you can submit the form to be rehired with a new contract up to 65. So he was around like 63, 64, somewhere around there. I think he's completely retiring like this year or next year, somewhere around there. And I just needed a little bit of help. So it's not like I'm paying him. He would be, if I pay him, then that would be against the law. So I was like, oh, can you just like come in like once a week for like 2 hours, right? And can you just like sit and like teach some struggling kids? And that would be just like helping his daughter, right? And he was like, no, like I can't risk it. So it's that strict. So they can't. And so cram school teachers, they don't have to have a teacher's license. In Japan, getting a teacher's license is very, very easy. You just need to major in education, and you don't have to major in education and then fully committed to that, because they have like a teacher's license course, and it only takes you like couple extra credits that you have to take, and so you can be kind of like minor in education, and there is no test in order to get the license. So that's why I was like, when like a popular sport player or something, and then the media would make a big deal out of like, this player has a teacher's license, like sounds like a really big deal, right? And so he knows how to teach things. And then like, during COVID, he would pull up like, like he would make like a study material and to educate his teammate how to avoid catching COVID, yada yada yada. And like, because he can do this because he has a teacher's license. And I was like, anyone can get a teacher's license because there's no test. And sometimes, well, most of the time, education department is the easiest major or department to get in for some reason. So I had a friend who is not so good at studying, and who's that? Scarecrow, thank you so much. You look pretty today. Oh, thank you. So have a great day. You too. Thank you so much. But So she wanted to go to Ehime University, okay, but she wasn't smart enough to get into Ehime University. Her parents didn't think that she would get in, but because she had a fight over like which university she would go with her dad, so she insisted on going to Ehime University. So like everyone was like, oh, you cannot get into university, like you should aim lower, right? And she got mad, but she knew that she wouldn't be able to get into more difficult departments like science or law or something like that. So she looked up like which department, which major is ranked at the lowest. And now they have like even lower department major in Ehime University, but at that time she's about around my age. At that time they didn't have that specific major, and that basically let anybody in. So she decided to go into education major. She didn't want it to teach or anything, and she didn't even like studying. So thank you. I always look pretty. Thank you. But yeah, so she got in, but she told me, like, I thought she had a passion about education, but she was like, no. That was the easiest. That was the only place that I was able to get in. So like, cool. Because in Japan, you have to choose your major before you take the college entering examination. So that's why. And you can't. I don't think you can take you can, how can I say, apply for multiple majors. I think you have to just pick one, depending on the university. When it comes to private universities, they're more understanding, like, oh, if you want to try law and education, you can apply for both. And if you pass both majors, and then you can choose either one you want. But that's because private universities are expensive, so they want to get more money from students, right? But Ehime University is the public university, so they are usually more difficult and more strict. So yeah, what were you talking about? Anyway, so that's how it happens, and I'm pretty sure she has a teacher's license, but she's not using it, and like there's no test. I had a friend who majored in education in the States, and I heard how difficult it is. You have to pick a state, because each state has different test, different standard. So she was from Illinois, and she was coming to Missouri, and so she wasn't sure that originally she wanted to go home and then get a job there. So she was like planning on taking a test in Illinois, in the Illinois standard. And then she happened to live with this guy, and then got married. And so she was like, okay, so because he has a job, he's probably like a few years ahead of her, so he already had a job in Missouri. So I was like, okay. So she decided to live in Missouri. That means she has to take the test in Missouri. So she passed, and then she actually had like multiple licenses or something, and she somehow managed to graduate within 4 years, like having like double major and a minor in theater and whatnot. So she's like very hardworking person, but that's how difficult it is to get a license in the States. But then in Japan, not so much. I'm sure every system has positive and negatives, yep, but it seems a little strange to me to expect high school students to really know what they want to major in when so young. So you caught my attention there. So in Japan, high school is the most difficult part of your life, studying wise. That's the time that you study the most. That's the time that you can't get enough sleep if you want to get into university or so-called good life, right? There are, of course, elite schools and then not so much school that they don't really teach. They just like go there and they just like, have a party. Yeah. But I'm just talking about average students, average Japanese people's life. So when in Japan, it doesn't matter what kind of major you are pursuing in college in order to get certain job. So because all the companies know that college students do not learn anything, they just have fun. Because up to that point, except for a few, schools in Tokyo, Japanese kids are not allowed to put on makeup or dye their hair, and then boys have to have their hair short. Girls, like if you have like longer than a shoulder length, and you have to put in either ponytail or the pigtails, and that's the only hairstyle that you can have. Yada yada yada, right? We have to wear the uniform in certain ways. So there are a lot of restrictions, and so everything will lift so suddenly when you get into university. And getting into university is the hardest part. So that's why they have to study so hard and go to cram school. So they start school from 8 and they finish at 4, and they have club activity until like 7 or 8, and then they straight go to a cram school and they study until like 10, and then go home, get a dinner, and then they just do homework until like 2 a.m. and then go to bed, and then wake up at 5 and then go to school. So that's the life that they have to have during high school. And so once they get into university, they're like, woohoo, my life is finally here, and then they just have fun. So the companies, they know that the university students do not study except for like very, very few people. And so they don't care what they learn in university. They don't care what major they study. And so what they care is that like can you follow the rules? Can you learn what we teach after you are hired in that company? And so it doesn't really matter. So only thing high school students, parents, and teachers care about which major for them to major in is that how smart they are. So we have a point system called Hensachi, and it's kind of like a GPA, but we measure in different way. So the average is 50, and then depending on the test, like there are many different like standard tests, like national standard tests. So if you get the average score on certain tests, your Hensachi is 50. So if you're below average, it goes like 45, 40, something like that. And even if you are really bad at tests, it won't go below 30. So usually you start with 30, and then like average is 50. And if you want to go to like Tokyo University or something, and then you have to aim for like 70, above 70, 75 or something like that. So my brother once got like Hensachi of 73 for like some standard test, and then it was like only one time, but he's really smart and he has a photographic memory. So that kind of person would get like 70 something, and you have to keep at it if you want to go to Tokyo University, of course. And then there are many different types of tests, so depending on the test, right? Because like average is decided what kind of people took that test. Basically what everyone wants is that they want to get into university plus the department that has higher Hensachi as possible. So as I said before, Ehime University has many different majors, and so education department had the lowest Hensachi point, and so not like students who are not really good at studying can get in easily. But if you want to study in the science department or medical department, you have to have a higher hensachi. Does that make sense? So it doesn't matter. So when I came back from Hawaii, I was one of the top students in my high school. And I went to Japanese high school and then US high school. So in Japanese high school, the high school that I went was linked to Ehime University. So without pretty much not doing anything, as long as like you were a model student and then keep the fine score, fine grades, and then you could get a recommendation letter from the president, the principal. Then you just need to go through the fewest test, and then you can get into a university. However, it's a different story if you want to major in science or medical. And so I was leaning towards going to US University, not Ehime University. And so I didn't listen to them, but I was called into the principal office as soon as I got back with my parents. And he was like, okay, please come into the principal office, like what day and what time with your parents present. And I was like, okay, there's no way that I'll be in trouble because I just came back, right? And we went. And then there's like a principal and then vice principal and then someone like, you know, like teacher, head of the teacher kind of person sitting across the table. I was like, okay, this looks very official. And then slowly the principal started talking about, you know, how well I'm doing, even though I study abroad. Like I have like excellent grades and excellent, you know, whatever. I was like, okay, right, where is this going? I was, so I want you to get into the medical department of Ehime University. Now for the nursing course, but the doctor course, like MD, I want you to get MD. What? Right? Because like I never mentioned, because like we have meetings with homeroom teachers here and there saying like, look, what do you want to pursue? What do you want to do? Like, what's your future dream? Yada, yada, yada. And so my dad is a science teacher, and so I always enjoy science. Math, not so much, but I like science. So I kept saying that like if I'm going to Ehime University, I want to study biology. I said that many times to my homeroom teacher, so he knows that, he took notes, right? And my homeroom teacher happened to be a science teacher, so he was very happy about it. And then I studied abroad. So when I came back, the record shows that like I'm only interested in science, right? And I never thought of like, because like the doctor is more like helping people, and I never picture me like some people was like, you know, how like a really like I'm getting some PTSD from this story. Gosh, what? How? So I never, like, it never struck me as a doctor. I was like, I mean, it's a great job to help people and treat people and get themselves better. But do I want to do that? Like, do I see passion in helping other people? And so I was like, and then I just came back from the States, and I was like, I really missed like living in the States. So like, I really want to go back, right? So like the person who is like passionate about going back to the US and then haven't still like found out the right way, like best way to get there, because like, you know, I have to worry about financial side and like what my major is gonna be, yada yada yada, and like having like a like reverse culture shock and all that. So I was like, I can't really think of anything. And I was like, I told them straightforward, like, well, I'm sorry, but like I don't picture myself as a person who would be like a helper to the other. Like, yeah, I it would be great, it's a great job, but I don't know, I don't see passion there. And then he was like, so first, Ehime University Senior High School they had the biggest reformation the year that I enrolled the high school. So my year is the very first students in history who enrolled in Ehime University Senior High School. So which means this is a business side. Ehime University has to made a big announcement, right? So everybody knows the reformation and everything. So they have to tell to the world, more like a local, that we made a reformation and that was a success because we had this many people, including people who want to who majored in the medical department, can come into Ehime University Senior High School, and then because our education is so good that they can get in. They can be smart, right? Of course, they also they only accept already smart people. However, getting into medical department is very difficult, and so they just want to. It's their ego that they want to prove to the world, we got at least one student who became a medical doctor or got the MD diploma from Ehime University Senior High School. It was very clear to me, so I was like, I'm not gonna be used for that. Yeah, right, advertisement, right? And so he was like, so we had only 3 homerooms because it's a very small school. And they divided the seniors into ones that they need the entrance examination. Should be in class 1, right? And then that's more like a science department or agriculture department or something to do with numbers, so including medical department. And then the rest of the class is more like they just need to get a good recommendation letters, and then as long as they are good at the interview and general education and essay, and then they can get in. So I was in the latter class because the school year is kind of different in the States and Japan. So I came back in the middle of the senior year. So my class was already decided. And so the principal was like, you know what? I will pull you out of the classroom, literally, and then put you in the first class. Because that's the class that they would study for the entrance examination. So I was like, okay, that's unheard of. Changing classes, that never happened with no reasons. Even in Japan, bullying is a big issue. So even if kids complain and parents complain about there are some bullies, and then my kids are being bullied and then they don't want to go to school, they never change its classrooms. And I'm like, okay, this is out of control. And then he insisted you don't have to go to cram school because every single teachers that we have here are gonna come hours before the school starts, just for you, and teach everything you need, because I missed 1 year, right? And then going back from working out, and then if I just doing all you do, yay. I was talking about my story of going to university and how crazy my principal was to push me into medical department, and then trying to convince me that I should be a medical doctor because he doesn't care about my passion in any directions. That he was like, okay, you're a smart student, so you should aim higher. So he was like, okay, every teacher without pay, of course, because they are civil servant, right? So even if they do overtime, the teachers, they're not gonna get paid. And so I will force all the teachers that we have just for you, if you agreed on aiming for a doctor course. I was like, no. But that's what Japanese schools do. They don't care. They do not care what the students want. They just want the good students, like fine, smart students, so that they will be the next advertisement, like content item for the following year, that they can say like, oh, we got this student who graduated from our school and got into a medical department, right? And so then a lot of people who thought the high school is pretty new, right? So they don't have any, record. But then the following year, the parents would see the high school to be like, oh, this is one of the great school. Maybe if I put my kid in that school, then they would help us getting into medical department, and then help my son or daughter become a MD doctor. And it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be your puppet. And so I pretty much, turned down the offer. I was like, I'm going to the States. But they tried really, really hard. They one time pull me out of the regular class, like, come here. And I was like, what? And we're gonna go on a drive. I'm like, what the hell? And then we went to the drive out to the Ehime University. And then that was to convince me not to go to United States, because I haven't taken the TOEFL test that I had to take in order to get into university in the States. And there was the English department professor, and I just didn't like her at all. But she was like, she didn't even know, I don't blame on her, because she didn't know why she had to convince this girl not to go to the States when she's indeed a English teacher. And she herself, I heard her speak English, and she speaks English fluently. That means she has to have some sort of studying abroad experience, right? And so, yeah, but she was probably in between what she wants to say and what she had to say, because of the pressure that she was feeling from above her. And so, but at that time I didn't know, right? So I felt like everything that she said was coming from her. So I really didn't like her at that time. Now I might understand why she had to do that way. But yeah, so the intention of the school had was that I try to convince it's impossible to get good enough grade for me to land a scholarship and to get into university in the States, which I did both. I paid less to get into any universities in Japan, even though the original tuition was maybe 5 times, 10 times bigger than Japanese one. If I try to go to university in the States, because I'm foreigner, right? So even if I try to go to the state university, it doesn't matter because I'm not a resident. So they usually charge triple or quadruple, I don't know the next one, of the tuition that they charge the locals. And with scholarship, that I don't have to pay back, includes meal and dorm. I convinced my parents that way. I was like, okay, so I have passion in learning English, right? I know that I want to go to the States, right? That's what I said to my parents. Usually in my household, that when you want something, you pretty much have to make a presentation. It's really weird, but literally I present everything. I did the same thing when I went to study abroad to Hawaii as well. So this is not my first rodeo, so it was very simple and easy. But I was like, okay, parents, listen. So this is what would cost me if I try to go to a Ehime University and then I try to learn English. But at this point, I already passed their goal TOEIC score. The TOEIC, another English proficiency test that's popular in Japan. And the Ehime University English department stated that in 4 years, we encourage students to get 750 or something out of 990. And it wasn't official, but I took TOEIC mock test just for a good measure. And I pass that score. So it was like, what's the point paying this much money for 4 years of education, and what do I get? Yeah, it's gonna be very easy for me because I already have that much knowledge in English, but what's for me to learn? But that's the cheapest option because I can commute from my home, right? And then I brought some other like private good university that has a English major that had offered me something that I can learn. And then this is how much it's gonna cost. And in Japan, unless you are from like a single parent household, or if your parents are in massive debt, or if your parents pass away or something like that, you cannot get a scholarship. Scholarship for good grade students do not exist. Scholarship only exists for those who are coming from like somewhat poor households who cannot afford to go into any universities. And so me having both parents a full-time job, that's an option. I got an offer from in Hawaii though, while I was in Hawaii, because my grade was good. So that won't ever happen. And because I had the experience in Hawaii, I knew that in the States, as long as I do good, then I will be able to get a scholarship. So, because like, it's not like my parents are like a lawyer making like millions and millions of dollars per year, right? So as long as it is not that, I knew that as long as I get the good grades on a test and have like a good transcript, I knew that I would be able to land one of those scholarships, and I did. So I compare all those to my parents, and then like, see, what do you think is the cheapest option? It happened to be going to the US. So I was like, okay, I'm getting a part-time job right now so that I can, earn the travel fees. And then possibly like somewhat like, maybe like my cell phone fee or something while I'll be in the States. And there's nothing for them to like argue about, because pretty much like they saved up for my college, right? So that will be more than enough for me to go to the States. So that's how I ended up going to the States for college. But that's how Japanese schools are formed. So yeah, that's why score, grades, those are two essence that only matters when you are choosing universities. So yeah, but on the other hand, in the US, yeah, like there are parts that the Japanese education is better than US, but the one thing that I think that US is better than Japan education wise is that the college majors is directly related to the jobs that you would get. So you actually learn something. You're paying a lot of money and then you actually learn something. Whereas in Japan, you pay a lot of money, but you don't learn. You just go there for fun. And the parents know that because parents went through that. So parents don't really say anything about like kids getting not so great grades or like not showing up to school because they think that that's the reward that they would get in their entire life. It's sad because like that's the 4 year, that's the funnest in entire life, because after they get a job, they have to work like 40 hours a week, maybe more, to just earn pennies, and that's the rest of their life. But they think in order to get into that like hard life, the kids should be able to have fun in those 4 years. Whereas in the US, high school or like education up to 16 is mandatory. So it's not, they just like teach general education, and then if you go to public school, it's free, right? And then when you get into university, everything gets hard because you pay a lot of fee, and you choose the major that you really want to get in. I would say most of my friends with BA degrees don't have jobs related to their degrees. Yeah, because like getting master degrees and doctorate is a thing in the US. So BA, it's just like, you know, just a degree, right? So of course, like if you want to major in science and if you only have BA degrees, what's the point? Like if you want to major in science, you have to go up to doctor. Like when you have a doctor, that's something. Like if you want to work in a museum, you have to have a doctor, right? If you want to do something related to science, sometimes like some institution, they would ask like, how many doctorate do you have? So one is not something you're proud of. But in Japan, the whole thing, like if I asked my brother and he would talk for hours and complain about it, but he majored in science. He got master's degree, but he couldn't pursue doctorate because despite him being like one of the top students in his school, he knew that if he get a doctorate degree, he will be around like 28 when he graduates. That's normal in the US. Some people get doctorate when they're even older, but there's no job available because in Japan, Japanese economy is not really good. So what companies want to do is that they want to hire people who are young enough, underqualified, so that they don't have to pay that much salary. So they would say that most of the companies do not even state people who have master's degrees as an eligible person to work for that company. And there was a news, I think it was like a civil servant or something. A guy we have a master's degree concealed the fact that he had a master's degree because, and then applied with his bachelor degree because he knew that if he said that he had master's degrees, not so many companies would hire him. And usually it's the opposite. Like those kind of fraud would work opposite, like other way around. The people who do not have degree claim that they have a degree to get a job, right? In Japan, the reverse can be possible because having a higher degree, they see that you are overqualified and they don't want to hire because they cannot afford to hire you. So I still recommended him to pursue his doctorate degree, but he was like, no, I will be broke. There are so many people, so many senpai that he knows that they pursue doctorate degree. They are great in their field, but they don't have a job. So anyway, they have to work in McDonald's or something part-time job, and that's such a waste, right? And most of the doctorate degrees, to earn that, you have to pay the tuition as well. And not many parents wants to pay the tuition until your child is 30 years old, you know? So, but whereas in the States, you have to have a master, or, you know, like I like Big Bang Theory. I don't know any of you are, but like Sheldon always makes fun of Howard because Howard only has a master's degree. So that's a thing, right? And everybody else has doctorate degree. And so that's what it is in the States, but not in Japan. Yeah. Anyway, going back to my study. Yeah, I had to go back to study. I was talking too much. One of you gave me really good question. Too good. What am I doing? Okay, so that's that, and I gotta underline these. Yeah, fire, about the fire. Yeah, I talked about it on in Patreon, so if you're curious, you can go there. That's kind of something that I did, like, you know, I would I daily vlog on Patreon, and that was something that happened a couple days ago, so I was like, oh, Patreon time. There are like, I don't know, like 200. Okay, thank you so much. I like that. that's a really cute sticker. I love it. I actually had a dog, like she passed away, but I had a dog just like that. I had like a Shiba mix. Like she was a stray dog, and she was rescued, and so but she had like a very typical. I was gonna show you because like it was on my screen, but then I just realized like it's my phone screen, not the main phone screen, not the sub phone screen. But yeah, I used to have that dog, and then she was really cute. She had like really like big eyes, so that's why I'm saying that she's probably mixed. Because like if she was like a pure Shiba would have like a very thin, like this kind of eyes. But and then the Shiba would have like a smaller ears, but she had like really big pointy ears. But she had like a really curly tail, and then she was like brown and something like that. So thank you so much. Digital clock? Ah! That one? I don't say the name, it's because like, hi, right? And then last time I said it quietly, it started with A. Alexa? That's what it is. Because she responded, and then like people were like, you know, be careful, it gives you your address and everything. So, yeah. Yeah, being left-handed, it might be very difficult to write Japanese. Okay. Continuing on studying. The sound of train isn't too bad, right? Feels like Japan, Tokyo. in Tokyo, me, I'm on the east side. So like Ueno area. Recommend a sushi to somebody trying a sushi for the first time, please and thanks. That's why Dawn said we're in Tokyo. That makes sense. And you said you're in Canada? Yeah, salmon is really pretty easy for people to eat sushi. Interesting, yellowtail. My mom doesn't like yellowtail because she thinks it's fishy. Huh. So I guess like everyone has a different opinion. I haven't really lived in the coast side in North America. I mean, I lived in Hawaii, right? So Hawaii, they have good seafood because of the location. And Hawaiian food does include some like raw things, right? So like we have like poke, and that's literally like sashimi mixed with like seasoning and soy sauce and like some oil, vegetable oil or whatever. But I had sushi in Missouri and that wasn't good. Just expensive because it's inland, right? We don't have sea. Like, I personally think like something like sea bream, if you can get it, it's something that doesn't have a strong fish taste, I think. But it's all up to how it's fished and how it's gutted. And so my brother fishes almost every weekend, and then he would get like this big flounder fish or something like that. I don't know where he goes, but like Japanese fishermen know how to drain blood out of fish very quickly, and so they know where to stab the knife through, and the quicker you drain the blood out of the fish, the lesser it smells fishy. But for example, we have a lot of eels coming from China, and those are cheaper, but it's not so great in taste, because instead of like killing them instantly, Chinese factories would gradually kill the eels. So they don't stab knife or like anything. They have like a long passageway with like kind of like a water slide, right? And then the eel, like in the beginning, they're very super genki and whatnot. and then they gradually, with less water, they would just like go through one place to the other, and then they would bang on the edge of the slide so many times, and then they were like probably grabbed by many people, and then gradually they die. So if that happens, it doesn't matter if you eat it, you don't really eat eel raw, but even if it's baked, like grilled, you feel the difference, you know what I mean? So it depends on the handler how fishy the sushi gets. So I saw many like foreigners who didn't like sushi at all in their own country, but because they came to Japan, they felt guilty not trying Japanese sushi, and they would go out and eat sushi and like, this is not something I expected, like this is actually really good, you know? So of course, like there are some people who don't like sushi anyway, but that can be a case. So if you can come out to Japan, I recommend trying out sushi in Japan for the first time, so that you don't have this like a pre-mindset that like, oh, sushi should taste this way, but you can try out something that's like very fresh, and it's something that you know, properly handled sushi for the first time. I guess that's my recommendation. come war. Cool war or come war? I just realized. Hey. Oh, what are you studying for? I'm just studying bookkeeping. So it's been 3 hours. So if you have any questions or comments, now's the last chance. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna take a little break. Maybe eat something. I haven't eaten anything from the morning, so I might do that. I just had coffee and it's getting a little hotter, so I might turn on the AC. And yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I still want to do some studying. Like Saturday, I want to focus on studying. So probably gonna clean the house a little, and then I'm debating whether or not to go to a cafe, because like if it's a cafe, there's no distraction. I mean, there are people, but there's no temptation like, I might want to put on some Netflix, or like, I'm like getting a little pickish. Dawn, thank you so much. Thanks for the Sounds of Japan. Sounds of Japan. Yeah. Thank you so much. Like, you have been probably watching from the beginning, right? So, and then I see your comments lately a lot, so hopefully I have been replying to you. But thank you so much. So yeah, I might need I need to get out of the house. It's funny because like when I was in Ehime, I wouldn't, like, there are many times that I wouldn't get out of the house, because like if I wanted to go to a cafe or just grab like something to eat, and I was studying myself. Oh really? What did you study? Nice, like study buddies. I never had study buddies. Yay. So I get easily distracted, so like, and then I would study better on my own. So otherwise, like, I'm very chatty. So like when, like, if my friend would be like, oh, like, did you get this one right or something, I'm like, la, 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 and I talk, and then like just like 30 minutes fly by very easily. So, oh, good one. JLPT N3 is like around the time it gets tricky, right? So like, I know, like, if you study very very consistently, like N5 and N4, I've heard people like, you know, I pass N4 N5, right? But like N3, that's when like everything gets tricky, and everyone like, you know, I kind of like, I struggle N3. So good for you. So yeah, I'm like thinking of like doing this like every Thursday morning. So if the time lines up with you, yay. I was reading a book while listening to you in the background. Cool. Yay. That was like kind of my goal. Like, people probably need like a set amount of time, like in set schedule, to like, okay, I'm gonna focus on this, right? So I was reading a book while listening to you in the background. Oh, nice, reading a book. That's a great idea too. So yeah, so that was my goal. So I'm glad that like you guys joined. I'm really happy. So I guess like Saturday morning would work for me. I don't know when the summer heat hits, but still, I'm facing to the west, so the evening is the worst. So I don't want to be in the room around like 4 p.m. to like 6-7 p.m. I think around this time, like the sunset is around 7. So after 7 it's fine, but like between those like 5 to 6, 4 to 6, somewhere around there, it's just so hot. So yeah, and 3 does get a little tricky. So I think it's similar in Japanese Eiken, the English test, that many people do get like grade 5 and grade 4 pretty easily, as long as they pay attention to what they learn in school. But unless like they are really little, we handle little kids like, you know, 4 years old who want to pass Eiken grade 5. Then we have to teach them. But like, as long as they are like, you know, maybe 10, 11 years old, then it's not that difficult. But grade 3, that's when for us, we have we have 2 sets of tests. So one is reading, writing, and listening. And so it's not all multiple choice. And so even if they can read, even if they can hear and understand what it's talked about, they ask you for your opinion. And it's very simple, like do you often ride a bike? Like very conversational, like questions, like everyday conversation, right? But in order to, like, you have to provide two reasons. So it has to be kind of like, we have like a like structure, like preset, and so you kind of have to follow that, and you have to go with like first reason, second reason, you know what I mean? So that's a little different from what we usually like communicate verbally, because we are not that constructive, you know? And then Aiken decided to add one more writing session where you have to read the email and then you have to come up with your own response, and you have to include like answer to certain questions or something like that. But yeah, so, and then we have an interview test. So once you pass the first round, then you get a little like a ticket, and then you have to bring that to the different location on a different test date, and then you have to sit with the examiner one-on-one, and they would give you a little a card that has like some texts and a picture. And so first you have to like follow the card, and then like you have to answer those questions, or like there's a reading exam, like they check your pronunciation and things like that. And then you go on to like a Q&A. So that's like just like ask you like, what do you do on Sunday, something like that. So that is a little challenging for many of Japanese students. So it's also the point, if you speak Japanese in Japan, people may think your level is higher. Not necessarily. I had a friend in Hawaii who has a Japanese mother and American dad, and she lives in Hawaii. Hawaii is a very multicultural, multilingual state compared to any other states in the US. However, because school is conducted in English, and she tried to learn like aiueo and then like hiragana and katakana and some kanjis, and she tried to speak, but you know, like her mom was only one person who spoke Japanese. And hello from Michigan, hi. So she kind of gave up in the middle, because she was able to speak good enough. Like, I wouldn't say she was fluent, but her speaking and then like hearing was good enough. And I invited her to my house a couple times, and then when I like Skype with my friends in Japan or something, and then we just stuck with Japanese. And then for her, she can like, she had only experience with speaking with her mom, so like mom and daughter conversation, like relationship, like what kind of words that you use is different from what we use in just like teenagers, right? So like she was very motivated after that, and like, oh, I really want to learn Japanese. However, if it's very weird, because for English, a lot of people think that, like, you know, speaking is very difficult, especially Japanese people, and they really do good at tests like reading and writing. And however, when it comes to speaking, it's very hard. And reading won't be too difficult because it's alphabet, right? And so for us, we have to handle hiragana, katakana, and kanji too much. And then we go to the alphabet, there are only 26 letters. And yeah, we have like capital letters and then like little letters, small lower cases, but still, it's not that difficult. Maybe spelling a little bit. But she said, she made a good point that for her own experience, she said because she can speak, she got really lazy at reading and writing. And so she said Japanese, one of the few languages you should start studying from reading and writing, because that's the hardest part. And most of the tests, like, you know, you need JLPT in order to come to Japan and work, right? And so, like, I'm not saying like which is better, but if you don't have at least N3, preferably N2, in order to get non-English teacher job in Japan. And Japanese companies are kind of cut and dry, so they would just like look at your resume, and if you don't have N2, it's like, yep, nope, you're not qualified. They don't care what kind of experience do you have, what kind of skills you have, what kind of education you have. If you don't have N2, that means you can't read and write Japanese at the level that they can conduct business, then no. But even if your speaking is a little funny or like a little broken, if you have N2, they would hire you. And like you can at least move on to the interview. So when you move on to the interview, then you just need to be who you are, and more like very positive and genki and polite. So then you get the job. So I'm the opposite. Reading and writing is easier for me. Speaking, oh, so you can write kanji and everything. That's awesome. Like maybe you might be able to just like go ahead and get a job in Japan like very quickly. You are, I think, the rare type. I won't say like which is better, because like everyone has a struggle. People who can speak very fluently, sometimes they suck at grammar, right? And so they don't test well. So it's the same thing in Japan. Like even if we have, that's why like our school is kind of focused on Eiken, because even if like Japan is like test-based country, so it doesn't matter how fluent you can speak, how interactive you are, if you can't get a good grade on test, there's nothing, no choices for you, right? And so it's better to start with reading and writing. So we get new students every now and then the mother's struggle is that like even if they go to international schools tend not to teach Eiken or reading and writing, because they don't see the point of doing that from like 3 years old. And then what they end up with is that they can communicate very fluently, but with kids English, of course. But when it comes to the parents, are like, oh, if my daughter or son can speak this much English, then they should be able to pass at least Eiken grade 5. That's like, you know, lowest level. And then when they take them to the test venue, and then they don't test well because they can't read a single letter. And so that's a little difference between like Japanese education and the American education. And it's usually international schools are run by foreigners, and they are not. I've met so many like foreign teachers that they are not comfortable teaching grammar and spelling and all that, like reading and writing for 3-year-olds. But that's what Japanese people want. And that's how they survive. That's how they see the value of paying the tuition for cram school. And so they might start out with international school, but they ended up coming to my school because they need to test well. So yeah, I work at a multinational US-based company. Cool. And the official language, even at Japanese branch office, is English. I know quite a few other multinationals in Japan are that way as well. Yeah, like Uniqlo, Rakuten, all those places, official language, like company language, is English. And so in order to get it in as a worker, full-time worker, you have to pass a certain test, like English test. In Tokyo, I was surprised because I knew that it was more multinational city compared to any other places in Japan. However, I was coming here every now and then, except for the COVID time, that for the past 10 years. So like COVID is like almost 2 years, so like 8 years, I would say, give or take. And yeah, like because I hang out with Norm and other people and I speak English, sometimes the people like station officers and those people would assume that I'm like, I just look Asian, look Japanese, but maybe I'm like, she's not Japanese, right? She doesn't speak Japanese because I speak English. And so when I got caught in the little gate thingy at the ticket machine at the station, they pull me aside and like, okay, can you swipe the Suica one more time or something? But he had just assumed that I wouldn't speak Japanese, so he was like, phone here, touch, right? And then he goes ping, and I'm like, okay, something like that. So that was the level of people who work in Tokyo when they are forced to speak English. That's like 10 years ago. Not even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I would say. Now, like, I walk into the restaurant, cafe, anywhere. Yeah, it was funny. But like, at least he tries, right? He was very positive, like, he was very kind. He was very firm, so it was like easy to understand. And I felt really sorry for like speaking back to him in Japanese at that point because he put so much effort, right? And then like probably he had to, like he needed the courage to speak English. So I was like, oh, thank you so much. And I just kept in English the whole time. However, but I walked in multiple places like restaurants and cafes here, and of course, like maybe behind me or before me, there are some foreign tourists, people who live in Japan, whatever. And so as soon as that's a good thing that they don't judge by like by how they look. So if like foreign looking person come up to the counter and then they start speaking Japanese, they stick with Japanese. Nice, right? But some tourists come up and then they only speak English, then they switch over to English very fluently and they know what to say. They are very like polite and they are very energetic. They're not even shy. I was like, what happened Tokyo? What happened Japan? So yeah, I was very surprised. And it wasn't only like one or two places or like one or two people at the cafe. It's like almost everyone. Like I think they are educated that way. But if Japan can educate them that quickly, because they are just like doing there for as a part-time job, right? And probably if you ask them like, oh, how was your day? Then probably they can speak any English at all. It's just like they learn the phrase like over and over. They practice the how to take orders, right? Like over and over. So that's why they are confident and they are able to speak English. But just like I did a long time ago with JR and back in Ehime, that they had this sightseeing train called Ionana Monogatari. It's a long name. I don't even like saying that. It's very tongue twistery. But they were mostly Chinese people, but Chinese people can speak English very fluently. So as long as they can handle English, and then learning Chinese from scratch is very, very difficult. So they decided to ask me to conduct an English lesson, but focus on what to say, taking orders, or when there's like any troubles and things like that. And so, and I am even made in English menu. And so they were very good. Like we only did like 2-3 lessons, like usually like entire day. But they started like, some of them started out like zero English. They can say like, hello, my name is Saki, nice to meet you, something like that. And then like I gave some tips for pronunciations, and this is something like you don't have to work on, because like as long as you stick with this rhythm, people can understand what you're saying. But the intonation is more difficult, and then it's more important, yada yada yada. And then after 2 sessions, like they were able to we actually like used the actual train to do it. Like NHK people came and like they made a documentary of us or whatever, and like yeah, like they were able to serve with smile on their face, and like even if I ask something like very stupid and they're like, oh, it's okay, like I can do this, do that, like, oh, I'm sorry we can't do this, but we can do this instead, something like that. So I know like the all Japanese English education should be like that way, but I explained before, if you just jumped in, just rewind, rewatch it, because I talked for like maybe almost an hour, at least 40 minutes, about how those school system works. So high school, mostly high school, junior high school, they focus on like test, and then like speaking is nothing that they want to worry about. So that's the reason why they can't speak even though they test on English test. Anyway, so if you have been following me around for a while, you might know that I have been working with the Shamisen girls, Kiki, and one of them left Tokyo for London. She is going to stay in London for 3 months to study English. So Shamisen girls started out like all doing their performances in Japan, not only Tokyo, many places, all over the place. However, they started to perform or conduct workshop outside of the country, and neither of the men can speak English very well. And so one girl, Hikari, thought the need and a passion, like found the passion towards English learning about like a year or 2 years ago. And she was talking about it, and she finally got a time set aside, like save up some money, and we actually threw some like event where people can chip in for her travel. But yeah, she is committed to learn English. It's London, so I'm kind of curious like what kind of like what kind of accent that she would pick up there. But because it's different from like American or Canadian accent, right? So I'm kind of interested in seeing her in 3 months. How, like right now, I think she's taking an English lesson from person who has American accent. So and then like I speak with American accent, and Norm doesn't really have a Canadian accent, I think. And so like we speak like kind of similar accent. And so yeah, we don't really have any British people around Kiki, so her accent is more like towards American, but now she'll be surrounded by British accents, so very curious. But anyway, so yeah, so how did we end up talking about Kiki? Anyway, it's been over 3 hours, and I am getting really warm here and humid. The sun is up. So yeah, and I'm gonna get something to eat. So thank you so much for joining, and I really enjoyed, and I like the fact that like many of you guys were grab yourself a something to study or something to read, and I am living it. So unless I have like a big event or something that I have to go back to Ehime for work issues, I hope there is no issues. I want to stick with this schedule as far as I can, and so around 8 a.m. in Japan time, I will be streaming both YouTube and Twitch for the studying time. So I don't know how long I would do, like I probably can't do every 3 hours every time, but at least like 1 or 2 hours should be good enough for us. So, oh, Scarecrow, thank you so much. Get lemonade. That's a good idea. Okay, I'll definitely do that. So last time somebody was like, oh, get yourself some Pocari sweat or something like Aquarius, and I did it, and I posted on the Instagram like, yay, I got Aquarius. Well, did I get Pocari or Aquarius? I can't remember, but like one of those sport drink. So okay, there's a mission for me. So after this live stream, I might need to do some cleaning and whatnot, but I will find lemonade and I will post it on Instagram stories. Lemonade is very tricky. Coffee, easy. Lemonade, yeah. I will see. I'll like there are some cafe. So I will continue my study at the cafe, grabbing some lemonade. That's my day. So thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please do, and turn on the notification bell, and I will see you guys next time.